It should be recording. I hit the button. Do I see the file? I see the file. Alright, so continuing, Going Medieval. Still in early access. Key was originally provided by Tinsley PR for the Irregular Corporation. That's the publisher. And this might end up being short because I'm a little tired and I have a definite headache. I mentioned last week that I was going to be doing something today. That was this morning and early afternoon, and because it was an outreach teaching a bunch of first graders stuff about solar eclipses. And I have the headache, not because of the kids, but because since I'm talking with them and I'm interacting with them, I can't just get a drink of water whenever. So it's completely from that. Yeah, bunch of first graders. It's not that bad. Actually, they weren't even all that many. But I will grant, it's been a while since I've had to work with first graders. I've been doing outreach for over a decade. But cool, it actually remembered to be at 3 times. There was an update, a minor update. But, yeah, even... We tended not to do, historically, many outreaches with first graders. It's just, at that age, it's harder to have them be interested. It's something that we've observed previously. They actually did seem pretty interested this time, though. Oh, man, it's winter. Okay, hang on. That means... on. Yeah, that's fine. And actually, I'm going to set to very high. So the idea here is that hopefully keeps things warm. Everybody can have winter clothes. Like, there should be winter clothes for everyone. But just in case... Oh, well, yeah. Hopefully somebody will get on that. Yeah. When I worked in a summer camp, though, I think the youngest I did was 2nd and 3rd. And even that, yeah, even 2nd grade can be easier than 1st for dealing with. 1st grade didn't go, wasn't that bad. Let me be clear on that. I'm not saying 1st graders are horrible. It's just, we're keeping their attention, things like that. It can be more difficult because of how much younger they are. There. I worked with 4 groups today. 2 of them were actually pretty good, but there were 2 that were a bit more energetic, one especially more energetic than another, but you know what? Kids are great. I mean, it's just working with kids a lot of fun. I remember, I know, I have like no news to talk about. I'm sorry. It's just been a weird week like that for me. But I remember one time, as I said, I worked in a summer camp and kids would be dropped off. There was this one kid, I was there early enough and saw him dropped off 4 of the 5 days. The 5th day, I was helping set some stuff up. But the 4 days I was there, he was crying so much because his dad was leaving him and he didn't want to leave his dad. He wanted to stay with his dad. And it was just one of those, seeing that, and that a child crying. I'm not a monster for saying it put a smile on my face, but it did, because it's completely because he so much loves his dad. He just did not want to be away from his dad. And that's cool. I like that. I think that's pretty awesome. Why is that got holes there? And I know that may sound a little weird, but yeah. But on the 5th day, I didn't see what happened, but I asked, the kid let the door shut in his dad's face because he was at camp. It's fun here. He wants to be there. Yeah, it's just kids be like that. All right. Just trying to think. Do I want to have them doing any research, or just like let them? I think just let them be. I don't think anyone is without something to do there. And I actually saw something kind of interesting, so I'm gonna do that. I saw somebody sharing a schedule and saying that basically it seemed like most of the settlers can't like get through all their recreation stuff in just 1 hour. So having 2 hours but split like that might be a problem. But yeah, and I guess for just some explanation with the eclipse thing. It's like I do live in one of the areas that the eclipse coming up in April is going to go like right over us. In the total region that is the total solar eclipse. Because if you go further out, the moon isn't going to quite align right for you. No, we are like right along its path. It's pretty awesome. Even though, yeah, we got a couple months before that, it's still, it's like if we can get teaching early, get them interested early, it helps. Alright, I don't really know what else I can do in here. I'm trying to think what all I can talk about. There was actually a decent amount of game news. Oh, there is. It might be ending too soon. The second giveaway for the GOG sale ends today. I just don't remember what time today. I'm saying today for Saturday since I'm recording this on Friday. But no, it's I'm pretty sure it's still going. Let me check. So the game, because I just clicked out the game will be paused at the moment. That is expected. Oh, it's not going to tell me there. Yeah, I don't quite remember, but I think it is actually ending like noon or 1 o'clock. So by the time this starts, the giveaway may have ended. I claimed it. I don't know when I'll do anything with it. That is one thing I do wonder when I get the laptop, because that should be a better, that should be a good system for gaming on. I do wonder if I'll end up gaming some more, just because it's like I'll have more convenient access to some stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong, the desktop is great, but it's just being able to go somewhere else with it might be kind of nice. We'll just have to see. Yeah, I would not be surprised though if I started doing more. And there's also just I wish I were gaming more than I am. It's just I have so many other things that I do, that it's like that gets priority from me. The other things. Okay, so it is, even without the sunlight, it is still going. So that's good. Although, well, that might be stunted because that here. Okay, so yes, that's probably stunted because it is actually along this edge here. So it might be getting cold. Okay, yes, it must be the cold because it's, well, no, that doesn't, because then, oh no, that is also. Okay, no, the barley is just stunted. I'm not sure why along that edge it's stunted. I mean, it could be from the warmth. I don't know if it is. Yeah. I guess one thing I can also add, going back to the outreach stuff, is yes, working with first graders today. And I've worked with second, third graders, fourth graders, fifth graders, plenty of ages. One thing that I do think is worth noting, because some people might think, what can you teach a first grader about an eclipse? Depending, they will tell you stuff, even in first grade. Do not doubt their curiosity, which will allow them to ask good questions of you, but also to already know some of the things. Seriously, do not doubt that. You will be surprised. Because if you find it interesting, you really think the kids don't too. And kids have more time to find things out. To try reading a book or watching some video talking about this stuff than some adults. So, but still, it was a little funny because one of the people with me was wanted to try to explain nuclear fusion of the sun to where does the light come from. It's like, we're not doing that. It's like, I'm sorry, we can't do that. They're not even remotely close. It's like I just went with it's a fire. So it's because like kids will understand red hot, and it's like, yeah, the sun's just really, really hot, so it's glowing. What's making it so hot? It's like, well, this isn't really it, but just like a really, really, really big fire in there. It's like, I know that's wrong, but it's like you can't get more accurate than that. That is, to be fair though, that is something that absolutely only comes from experience. Maybe not only, but I mean, you might be able to guess that that's the case, or you could be taught that, but it is still, that's something that is an experience thing, that if you haven't done outreach for, let me see, if you want to talk about just formal outreach, I've been doing it for about 13 years. Technically more than that, because while I was in college, I worked as basically a math tutor, which is, I mean, it's not the same thing, but, working with teaching people things, concepts that they're not always familiar with, that, definitely there. But even in high school, I actually helped out in a science class. So, let me see, I did that for 3 years. I was a tutor for 3 years, so there's 6. So we're talking about 19 years that I have of, let's say, informal education experience. Yeah. I like that. I think that's neat, having that much experience. And it is helpful. It's certainly something that if you aren't that good at public speaking, you get good at it. Because I know some people, for some people that's what they're, public speaking is one of the most common fears. It's like, yeah, I used to be uncomfortable with it, but it's like, now you figure it out. You can get through it. If you are I know this has nothing to do with video games. Yeah. In a way it does, because like if somebody wants to start doing videos where they're commenting, or something similar, try and do streaming, which, remember, this isn't a stream. Obviously, this is pre-recorded because I don't trust my internet connection. It may seem weird, but just start doing it. Like, don't let your fear stop you. Just try it. You will get better at it. And really the challenge, I'd say, for a lot of games is making sure that you have something to talk about. That's where the challenge will be. And so to that end, I'm serious, what I would kind of recommend you, if you are like, hey, you want to do this seriously, or maybe it could even be hey, I want to force myself to get comfortable talking to people in a public kind of setting, which streaming kind of sort of is, even though you don't necessarily have anyone responding to you. Pick a game you haven't played that you have. I mean, you don't need to spend money if you can help it. But pick a game you haven't played so you can do how I do the reviews. So that way you can be talking about the game and you have something to talk about constantly. I mean, that legitimately, it can be the hardest part, is just having something to talk about. Because I know I've had recordings where it's like, yeah, I know I talked about this like in a recording 2 months ago, because it's just, I don't know what to talk about. But yeah, for this week, I mean, there really wasn't much for game news to talk about here. I mean, one thing that's kind of neat was the announcement of it's Anti-Static is the name of the studio. It's a new studio, and their first project, codenamed Hornet. It's a PvE cooperative third-person shooter. No, it is a cooperative game. I'm confusing it with a different game. Children of the Sun. That's the one that's third-person shooter. That's a Devolver Digital game. I have no idea who might be publishing for Anti-Static. They also might not have a publisher yet. But yeah, studio formed from industry veterans, experience with Cyberpunk, Bioshock series, Borderlands series, things like that. Yeah, that's neat to see. Do kind of wonder what will come of that. I don't think anyone is even complaining about being... Okay, you know what? Because you're just there. I know I'm interrupting that stuff, but let's just see what we can get. I'm good on barley. Let me grab that. I will also take cabbage seeds. What else can I take? You know what? If I can negotiate for the dog, I will take the dog. I do not need flax seeds. Do you want flax seeds? I can give you flax seeds. Hay would be better. I can buy a dog with hay. Oh, damn. Yeah, that's right. I forgot that that's the thing. by taking the dog, he can't carry as much. A lot that he would not be able to carry. Alright, so yeah, cannot have the dog. It is kind of funny. Wait, where is the dog? Oh, okay, it is waiting. I just went right by. Oh, wait, no. Alright, there. Is there anything else? I mean, there's plenty of other stuff I could sell. Like, I could get rid of a lot of the hats. You know what? Yeah, let's get rid of the summer clothes and the summer hats. And I'll make them new. I will hang on to the winter clothes just because I don't trust... I mean, everyone should be wearing something, so I should be safe to sell all of these. Here, you know what? I'll keep the best one, because there was one person that didn't have any on. So, do all of that. There were also the hats. Okay. Gonna make so much money off this guy. There. Oh, I just remembered something else I could talk about. But anyway, with the Hornet, with the anti-static Hornet thing, could sell them. I mean, it does seem interesting. I don't really know how much. Oh, I can't afford the dog. Wait, what? I'm selling him all that stuff and I can afford the dog? Okay. I'm just, how can I get this even? Like, what all else can I buy from it? Why do I have so many stuffed eggs? I mean, sure, I will take... And he can... Well, actually, how much gold does he have? Oh, he doesn't have any. I'd have to sell him gold. Alright. We'll just do that. But cool, I got another dog. And my brain just turned off. That's right, with Hornet, it does seem interesting, but I don't really know enough to have much of an opinion one way or the other on that one. But the Children of the Sun game, that seems like could be interesting. I don't know. What is wrong with Marcus? He is annoyed. Why are you annoyed? Stats, here we go. He might be hungry. No. A little tired, then go do something. You are not deprived. You got the stuff right there that you need. Yeah, you know what? There. Everybody. That is one thing I found interesting when seeing that schedule, somebody where they have them staggered, and it's like, I mean, I do understand that, but it's like, so that way certain things are always working, but I don't feel like there's anywhere near enough control over settlers. Like, I don't trust them to have it where it's like, well, staggering would be like, okay, well then they trade off. No, I don't trust that. I feel like if I staggered so that Alicia and Amiskia? Is that how you pronounce it? Not sure. But I don't feel like they would actually trade off. Like if once the shift change happens, that they would just do different things. Even if they had the same exact jobs. I would not trust it. And Children of the Sun looks a little interesting. Third-person shooter where you fire one bullet, but the trick is that the bullet, every time it makes an impact, can be re-aimed. So you can actually you fire once and then you have to have it bounce essentially between targets. So it's also a puzzle game figuring out what the correct order is for everything, which is pretty neat. I think there are other games that have already done things like that. It might not be as the core mechanic, but yeah, could be interesting. Oh, that's so much better. So much water I just drank. one thing kind of neat. At least I think it's kind of neat. I can believe plenty of other people don't. A new... You know what? I just realized. Yeah. A new Atari 7800 cartridge is being worked on. You might be wondering why. It is because... Is it decorative structure or something? Okay. Oh, there we go. That'll be good then. 30 and 5. My brain just turned off again. It wasn't Children of the Sun. So I was distracted because like I can try to get more things to build up the religion stuff. And actually maybe I should just make their own dedicated areas. So instead of it being this common room, have like dedicated altars or something. Not here because I want that to be, this area to be for apartments. I could do it here. Or over here. I could also like make it another floor, but I kind of want to build up other things there. I wonder, is it melted there because it's just warmer? Nope, that does not appear to be the reason. What? Okay. Okay, how does that make sense? The aesthetic value is higher outside than in. Is it just sunlight? Is that impactful? I do not know. I really do not know. I'm becoming annoyed. For what reason? Why did you eat raw food? Why would you eat raw food? There has got to be plenty of food. Wait a minute. I should be able to build these. Why do I not have any? I think it does want to be undercover. But the outside should be fine. Oh, that's right. I needed iron. That's why. Well, I have them smelting the iron, so that's good. We can't actually do that then. Just trying to think if there's anything else to mention with the games, the game news. And I don't feel like pulling it up and looking. Oh yeah, that's why I was talking about the 7800. Yeah, Atari and Playon are working on a new Atari 7800 styled cartridge that'll work in the Atari 2600 Plus retro console. This will add 3 more games to what it can do, because it comes with 10. I actually kind of want to go to the stone carving. So I can get, fancy things here. Although, okay, so that, alright, no. So I will take this. Because, it's until you get, so it'll just have to work up to that. Salted eels. Lovely. So do the lavish meals first. Pickled vegetables. Yeah, salted eels, sure. That's just... Yeah. Maybe I should just actually have 2. Yeah, so it's under a roof, so that gives it the bonus, but I don't think it benefits from being inside. Maybe I could be wrong. All right. Okay, so in theory, then, whose room is this? Eddie. Right. What are you? Restitutionist. Okay. Church of Restitution. Goda. You are nothing. Well, practicing Oak Brethren, but it's like very, very neutral. Stuff there. Amiski. There. Very much Restitutionist. Zealot, even. Marcus? Oh, wait. Yeah, Marcus, not Martin. Yeah, why are these actually in different orders? That's kind of funny. The Apostle of Chu? Okay, but that's Oak Brethren. Okay. Alright, now who do we have here? Editor Johnston. That's this one. And she is very much Restitutionist. And Martin down here. He is more Oak Brethren. Gotta love the bouncing back and forth, don't you? And then Alicia, right up top. Oh, Brethren. There. So now they can all have things in their home, in their apartments, and, yeah. Maybe that'll make them happy. I don't remember what the 3 games are, going back to the Atari thing, but it's still kind of neat that they are providing that support of, new cartridges, which I think they did say with the 2600 Plus when that was announced that would be the case. That there would be more coming. Hard to say how interested people will be. I mean, it's like I didn't buy one, but I am interested because it's like I played on, well, it was actually one of the Atari computers, but it does accept cartridges for games, and also 5 1/4 inch floppies. Yeah. So I mean, it's like that to me, that's neat. I'm happy to see this stuff. And it is, I will say this because sometimes I do see people or hear people talking about how video game design and development has changed so much. And it's like they're mainly about, things being I can't think of the word. But basically that so many games just seem derivative of others. And I have my reason for thinking that that's going on. At least compared to the past. And that is, in the past, if you were developing a game, you also had to develop the engine for it. Like, you had to invent it all. And I think that led to far greater creativity with what people were doing compared to, it's like, oh, we're making an RTS, okay, hit this button in Unreal Engine. Oh, we're making a first-person shooter, okay, hit this button in Unity. And it's like, even in this game, where it's like, there was probably a tool, I don't know what engine they're using. But, like, they might have had a tool that's like, oh yeah, this gets built out for you that way. It's like, oh okay, and do that, and then you don't think about it. Even though there's things like which one was it? Well, here, cooking. It's like that takes iron, which takes smelting. These are not these need to be connected. This needs to be behind smelting, but it isn't. Like that's kind of annoying. But it might just be a that we can have it work this way in the engine to build up a tech tree, and it's like they're not necessarily thinking through other things. And I'm not saying that it's a game I'm playing. I can go at so many games when it comes to tech tree kind of stuff like that. I'm just because this is what I'm playing. But I do think that the fact that you don't need to anymore have as much, it did actually raise the aesthetic value a little bit for them, I think. But because you no longer have to do as much ground up design and development, that you are seeing more of the derivative works, which on the one hand that sucks because you're not seeing as much innovation and invention as you used to, but you're also seeing a lot of people that couldn't otherwise make a game now able to make games. I'm like, yeah, okay, fine, it's very similar to other games, but is it still fun? Is it still well made? Is it still well built? I mean, it's like that matters. And you can have two games that might be functionally identical, but just because of how the story is, how the aesthetics are, one proves successful and the other not. So I'm not. I in no way mean to be dismissive of the effort it takes to make a game today. The point I'm trying to make is purely that I do think that when you have to consider how do we make this work, you start thinking about other things you can therefore do with it, and it gets really interesting. I was like, Pax Imperia is one of my two favorite RTS games. The other is Star Wars Rebellion. But Pax Imperia, both of them would be old enough that they were establishing things that the RTS genre today, and they're also both 4X games. Like, they both would have been setting the standard for games to come. Okay? Both of them. Pax Imperia does something. I can't think of a single RTS or more so 4X game for this specific point. A single 4X game today that does this. And hang on, I just want a speech. 13. I have a feeling that might be the best, yeah. Okay, where's the main merchant? Okay, Aldwin, I believe. You had 5 different tech trees, and you could actually research all of them in parallel. There is no game that allows you to do that today, is there? I'd love to know if there is, but I don't think there is. Come on, let me grab it. There we go. I am not seeing anything here that I care about. And mechanical components can be good. Yeah, I don't think there's anything. All I could do is sell stuff, so. But yeah, because that's a space-based 4X game, so you have offensive items for your ships, defensive items for ships, ship design, which would be like the hull, the engines, and all that there. You have colony development. Like that, there's 4 right there. I don't remember what the 5th one was. But you could set what each one was researching. It was also, you have so much research, and you set the percentages. There's a total of 100% of your research that can go to this stuff. By default, it's 20% in each. But you can set it to be 25% in each. You could set one to be 100%. You could set one to be 60%, then 10% in the others. You could do all of that. It was awesome. Name a single game that does that today. I don't think I'm honestly, I am being honest right there, being very sincere there. I am not aware of, and true, I am not necessarily the biggest I like 4X games, I do, but I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of them in that I know every single 4X game that's, currently out. I'm not that level with it. But it's, so it is very possible that people will be able to name ones that I'm just unfamiliar with. But it's still, that is such a clever thing, but it's not available. That's not a thing today. And that's disappointing to me. Because that makes sense. It's like Civilization, you can do one at a time. It's like, okay, I can understand like focusing once, and I think I talked about this in a recent recording. It's like, okay, it makes sense that you would focus the resources of one city for something like aluminum. I love the fact they have aluminum as its own research thing, because it should be in Civilization 5 at least. I don't remember 6. But the idea that you could have a nation with a whole bunch of these cities, but you'd only have everyone focusing on aluminum is nonsense. It's utter nonsense. I mean, how could you have the Manhattan Project going on at the same time as work in synthetics, plastics, for things like nylon, artificial silk, so you're not using silk for parachutes, new designs for aircraft, new aircraft engines, new weapons. Like, you had all that going on at the same time as the Manhattan Project. And it's like, but video games teach you, nope, it has to be one thing at a time. It's like, that doesn't make sense. That's not how that would work. And I do think that some of it is just, they had to develop how it would work from the start. So they couldn't just take what somebody else had done, take that code and just start applying it. No, they had to do it themselves. And I honestly do think that makes a difference. Holy crap, I did not realize we had that many chickens. Awesome. If you can haul, I want you to haul. And if you can help with vermin control, do that too. I am thinking I really should start having more the older ones getting trained. Yeah, let's just look at the old guys. That's an old cat that needs to be trained. That is not a pet. That I find interesting. Unnamed deer. Okay, I mean, I think I'm good for deer. Oh, no, I'm not. Okay, hang on. There. I want to make sure that there will be 2 that will just stay domesticated in there for breeding purposes. I'm also thinking one thing I really liked in Star Wars Rebellion was that you could, to use the civilization model, you could basically have built up your manufactory in one city, and then when you found another, you can just bring it over and put it down. You don't need to build it on site. So if there's poor construction at that site, it's irrelevant. In Star Wars Rebellion, you can build shipyards, construction yards, barracks, I believe was another one, at another location, and just send it there. That's awesome. But you don't see that today. And I gave you the reason, what I think is part of the reason why. I think there might also be, how would I put it? Just the fact that people are so used to certain things that it's just, that's what they expect. It's like, everybody expects controls to be a certain way. Like, we're seeing some stuff talking about with The Witcher, the remake for that. Apparently the studio is looking forward to updating some stuff and also removing some outdated things. And it's like, the controls for The Witcher, the original The Witcher, not Witcher 2. The original Witcher, yeah, it's kind of weird. Because it's based, the attacks are not like, you can't just spam click, you actually need to time them. It's a combo system, is how I would describe it. I can understand them removing that. It was definitely weird. What? I'm guessing it's just so cold in there? Yeah, it's just colder, but I can... Oh, wow, I did not realize that would be the case. Hang on. I'm just going to bump up the intensity. So that should definitely help with the warm. Yeah. But some people I do know are voicing concern about what other things they might change. And that is a kind of careful question when it comes to any remake, is how much do you deviate from the original? Like, I mean, honestly, and this is something that disappointed me with the BioShock remakes. Because I remember when I reviewed those for the years later reviews that I used to do so much of, BioShock 1 is the better game than BioShock 2, but I would more comfortably recommend BioShock 2 than 1, because BioShock 2, the controls are far more what somebody would expect of a modern game. Far more that. So it's like, to get somebody to play BioShock 1 is going to be much harder. It's going to be a much higher barrier to entry for them compared to... where did any of the stones... I mean, I did hit it. Stone... I don't... How do I... It, like, isn't telling me put it here. Okay, so it is just like a variant here. Okay. So I can definitely understand... Well, yeah, so with BioShock 1, when they did the remaster for that, which they didn't change the controls. That really disappointed me, because, like, that's the... I get it was a remaster, not a remake, but it's like, that is legitimately a thing that I would be like, I wouldn't tell some people today, like, if I had somebody ask me, what is a good classic first-person shooter, good story-based first-person shooter for them to play? And it's like, they don't know, they're like still getting introduced to gaming. I would not recommend BioShock 1, because like, it is all that, but the controls are weird. You may want to play some other things first. And it's like, the fact they didn't bother to change that, it boggles my mind. It's like, they just try to make the graphics better, but it's like, the original graphics never look that bad to me for BioShock. And it's like, so I could install 7, 8 gig or 20, and I couldn't tell you what the difference was, because I did look at the remaster. I couldn't tell you how it necessarily looked better than BioShock 1. That really seemed like a cheap cash grab. I'm sorry, but that is what it seemed like. Hopefully with the Witcher remake, they have it be more than that, have it be better than that. Better than just a cheap coat of varnish on top. But at the same time, I would be bothered by, like, really messing with the story much. I can't understand getting rid of the card system, because do we really want to treat that as trading cards? Yeah, that I can see changing, but total removal of what that relates to, no, you can't really do that, because it's like, then what are you going to do for The Witcher 2 and 3, where that's very much there? I mean, how do you get rid of all that? Yeah, I mean, hang on just a second. Is that... Okay, they are open to all stimulants. That's fine. I just wanted to check, because the one guy complained about being thirsty. It's like, you are free to drink. Yeah, so I don't know. We'll see what ends up happening with the Witcher remake. But hey, at least the original Witcher, if they do things that do compromise the original experience, sort of like the special editions for Star Wars, if they do something that compromises that stuff, at least you'll be able to have a copy of the original The Witcher. At least there's that. And yes, they did. Star Wars, the special editions are compromised somewhat, because like some of the stuff that they put in, it's like, why? This doesn't really add anything. It doesn't really matter. But it's also Return of the Jedi. You really did not need James Earl Jones to go in and add no to before throwing the Emperor. His action is clear enough, okay? We don't need him saying no. It does not put a point on the situation. It kind of robs it of that. Because it gives too much... What if the Emperor heard it, basically? Because wouldn't he then turn and be like, what? As opposed to just Vader making up his mind, just grabbing the Emperor, surprising him, and then throwing him. It's like, no what? What you talking about, Vader? I was like, that actually doesn't make sense in the scene. So hopefully we don't see stuff like that. Oh man, I just realized something else that I hope we don't see. I do want to be stopping soon. Yeah, I'll actually save here. I think that they did say they're moving towards using Unreal Engine. And I'm sorry, I just... Like, when I did the reviews for the Talos Principle and Talos Principle 2, Talos Principle 2 uses Unreal Engine... It crashed. Well, that might be because I saved and then quit out. This is using Unity, by the way. I clicked out so soon after telling it to close it. That might have been my fault. Yeah, oh, there we go. I was just about to pull Task Manager to kill it. I hate that Unreal Engine is using such dumbed down settings. It's like I vented on that so much in the graphics section for Task Principle 2. Because it's like, we're not all that stupid that we need this hand-holding, but it's also you're removing information that is actually useful, is actually viable. Like how they have ray tracing hidden inside. You don't have a generic ray tracing setting that control if it's enabled or not. You have other settings where it's like ambient occlusion, I think may have been one, where if you turn it to high, oh, we're turning on ray tracing there. It's like, why? Why are you doing that? Why can't it be like SSAO, HBAO plus, now RTAO and RTAO plus or whatever? Why can't it be that? Why has it got to be low, medium, high, ultra with no information unless you read on the other side of the screen when looking at high? I don't think it even I think you need to select high before it would tell you that it enables ray tracing. It's like, that's really not helpful. I also hate it with anti-aliasing, because like low, medium, high, ultra. Okay, what kind of ray tracing? Sorry, anti-aliasing. What kind of anti-aliasing are we talking about here? Is low off? MechWarrior 5, which is Unreal Engine 4, it looks at low, it seems like it's off. Then medium might be FXAA. Then high might be like TAA. And then ultra like a superior version of TAA, because there's a lot of versions of TAA. It's like, could you just give us what the names are? Why has it got to be low, medium, high? And I get that, people don't okay, let me put it like this. The people that go in and tweak, that actually pay attention to the settings, actually care enough to try making any changes, they want to know the details. The people that don't care, the people that aren't so interested, they're just going to use the presets. So why are you making the settings low, medium, high, the options say low, medium, high, ultra, when it's like the people that are just, that don't need the information, don't want the extra information, they're just going to use a preset anyway. Yeah, anyway, so yeah, the movie, I hope that they don't, but they probably will. They probably will, because it's just easier to just use what somebody else made, and keep to that. Which kind of goes back to the whole thing. It's harder to have to build up a game from scratch, but the level of mastery that you must achieve to do that, and also the fact that you can, from the start, you can conceptualize how you want something to be. The design and development of it, you control that from the beginning. You don't need to worry about, oh, this plugin doesn't let us do this, so we're not going to do it that way. It's no, you're making it. It's really cool. And I do think that is part of the concern here, because I guess the way to put it is this. You don't have... My concern, and I know this is potentially going to insult some people, and I do not mean it, because I know that what I'm about to say is a bit overbroad. Instead of having it be creators of video games, you have, like, game engine consumers making games. That's kind of the difference that I'm getting to. And I'm not saying, because like going medieval, I have my issues with their design. Yes. I am, none of it would I say, well, except maybe the tech tree stuff there. But none of it, what I say, is what I've been talking about. This is a sufficiently innovative game. I am nothing of what I've been saying here is criticism for them. I have other criticisms for them. None of it relates to that point. But there is an element that, because, just if I'm going to use this example, and again, I don't mean in this way, but they're using Unity, so they're limited to the tools Unity offers, potentially. That's more, they're consuming Unity. They're a consumer of Unity. They're not creating a game wholly, because they are using that, and that does provide some limitations. To use some of my writing as an example, if I'm writing a science fiction book, and I do have 2 books in a science fiction universe, there are certain rules to how that works. I can't violate them. If I want to, if I have an idea that requires I violate them, I have to use a different universe. I have to come up with completely new rules. I have that control there. But what if somebody else wanted to write a story in my science fiction universe? The only way they could do it would be to follow my rules. That's not fair to them. I mean, true, if they want to, okay. But they would have to follow my rules. If they violate those rules, it's a problem. And it kind of begs the question, well, why didn't you just come up with your own original story? Why did you need to use my setting? And I'm not saying that as in that you're not welcome to do that. I'm saying that as a, why don't you go fully original? It's a lot easier with a book, with a game, than with a game. I get that. There's a lot of people that wouldn't have the ability to do all that. It's great. It is wonderful that we are at this place where we are, where somebody can just be like, I want to make a game. Unity or Unreal Engine. Whichever, and then you just go with it. I love that. That is amazing and wonderful. But I do have a concern that has potentially become too dominant, and that you aren't seeing as much development on totally novel things, that you're just getting kind of cookie cutter stuff. And hopefully one day that will change. I guess I should change that a little bit. Instead of hopefully one day that will change, hopefully one day we will see like maybe a publisher that specializes in helping out developers, where it's like, you're going to do this from ground up. Okay, we're going to help you. Like how Devolver Digital and Irregular Corporation as well, for that matter, are both, they focus on indie developers. But if you had one where it's like, you don't necessarily need to be indie, but you're like doing it all ground up, that would be an amazing thing to see from a publisher. I mean, it's kind of like, you do see some indies where, yes, they are ground up. And Devolver Digital, one thing that they're great, because it's like, you have an idea for a game that sounds like fun, okay, do it. I mean, it's like they have, Devolver Digital published Gris, which is a very lovely, emotional game. They also published Genital Jousting. That's kind of, you wouldn't really expect that, but that's because they support indie. They support indie developers. If they think it'll sell, it seems like they're willing to support it. They're willing to publish. That's awesome. That's what we need. And I just think it would be awesome if we had a publisher that was like, you know what? You're building the engine yourself? Cool. We want to support you in that. I mean, it should also be we think it'll also do well. But I mean, that would be really, really cool to see. I don't know if that will ever happen. Because that really limits, because you would only be able to work with developers that have engineers talented enough to do that, to start from scratch, or at least talented enough to be able to break Unreal Engine, be able to break Unity apart and rebuild it as they need it to be. So for example, with the tech tree stuff I was mentioning, I could believe that, and I do not know, but I could believe that Unreal Engine, Unity, if you try to do a 4X game in there, I could believe that the tech trees are set up so you can only have one of them. So you can only have one thing being researched at a time. Pax Imperia, 5. That might be no, that's not what we natively support. You have to break it apart and put it together so that it allows all that. I could definitely see they would take something like that, but that would take an engineer with a good amount of skill to be able to make those changes. And I'm using that as the example in part because so many games, that's not the case. We don't have the multiple tech trees, the multiple developments going on in parallel. I could believe that is something that is cookie cutter, and that's why you're not seeing those changes. Yeah. That's why you don't see games with that, is what I meant. I don't know why I said you're not seeing those changes. But anyway, I have certainly talked enough. I don't think there's anything weird going on next week. I mean, in theory, the laptop will be shipping for me next week. If not next week, it'll be the end of the month because of the Lunar New Year coming up. And that because Framework, so much of their stuff is coming out of Taiwan. Taiwan just celebrated and they shut down for a while, so it may be a bit. But whatever. It's what I want. I've already waited so long, I can keep waiting a bit. And I do not know if I would like try to do an article or something on that when I get it. I will be thinking on that. I might just want to build it and get to it. And not worry too much about it past that. We will just see. We shall just see. Anyway, see you next time.